أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for He has enabled us this evening together online to enhance our knowledge and understanding of Islam and enhance our Iman. I think we do have some ladies also in attendance, so I better address everyone as ladies and gentlemen, not to miss out anyone else. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we welcome you all to the first session of the seminar entitled A Journey of Hearts and Minds with Badiuzzaman Said Nursi and his Risalah An Nur. It is indeed heartening to see so many Bangladeshi educationists, researchers, academicians from various parts of the world. In fact, we have individuals based in the United Kingdom, of course, in Malaysia, Bangladesh, and other places. A different time zone. I understand it's very difficult, but we are glad that all of you have managed to join this first session of the seminar. This weekly seminar is brought to you by Hayrat Foundation, Turkey. In these seminars, we will discuss various topics from Risalah An Nur, which is a body of Quranic commentary to improve ourselves spiritually and intellectually. For this evening session, we have our guest speaker, Mr. Yusuf Kara from Turkey, and we have two discussants, Dr. Muhammad Obaidullah from Dhaka and Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Hassan from the United Kingdom. And I'm Muhammad Abdul Latif, Deputy Director of the World Debate and Oratory Center at the International Islamic University, Malaysia, will be your moderator for tonight. I'll introduce all the speakers in due course. At the end of the presentation by speakers and the discussant, there will be allocation of time for Q&A, and we hope all participants will provide us their insights and ask questions during that time. Without any further ado, let me introduce our main speaker for tonight, Mr. Yusuf Kara. Mr. Yusuf Kara is the representative of Hayrat Foundation to Malaysia. He is also the manager of Nursi Research and Training Center at International Islamic University, Malaysia. Mr. Yusuf has obtained his bachelor degree in English literature from Ataturk University and master in international relations at Medeniyet University, Turkey. He has obtained a second master's degree in Usuluddin and comparative religion from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Mr. Yusuf Kara. Mr. Yusuf Kara, please unmute yourself and proceed.
Thank you very much, dear brother, for the introduction, Brother Abdul Latif. I'm very much honored to be in the presence of my beloved brothers and sisters from Bangladesh, from the brother country, Bangladesh, which is very much dear to us as Turkish people. And I once had the opportunity to come to Bangladesh around 10-12 years ago on the occasion of a Qurban activity. And I had the opportunity, alhamdulillah, of getting to know many brothers over there. So, alhamdulillah, now on the invitation of our beloved brothers, we are now setting out to a new journey, a journey of hearts and minds, as we call it. And we hope, inshallah, this will be beneficial for every one of us here. First of all, for my own self, and to better myself and to discipline myself, inshallah, while also sharing with you. And I hope, inshallah, this will be beneficial for each and every participant. And secondly, yes, we have various topics, inshallah, to cover throughout this journey. So we will have 3 weeks every week session, and then at the end of 3 weeks, we will have a one-day, a longer session that is in the form of like a workshop, inshallah. So inshallah, every 3 weeks we will have sessions like this, and then the fourth one will be in the form of a longer session, inshallah, in the form of a workshop, and inshallah, all together. Okay, so there are a number of topics that we have selected for this series, and of course we have wanted to start with Bismillah, the tafsir of Bismillah. And inshallah, I would like to start with sharing my presentation. So our topic today is an interpretation of Bismillah from human and cosmological perspective. And I'm also happy that we will have discussants at the end of each session, which I believe they will have very good contributions and analysis of the subject matter we are discussing, inshallah. And also, without proceeding to our topics, of course, as Brother Abdul Latif mentioned, we will be benefiting mainly from Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi's Risalah An Nur or Risalah An Nur. I think most of you have heard about him, even maybe read of his books and of his life. So, inshallah, one day during our day-long programs, we are also willing to discuss about him in a mutual discussion way, inshallah. So he's regarded as one of the greatest scholars of Turkey of the last time of Ottoman Empire, Ottoman state. And he was given the title, he was deferred the title by the ulama of his time, the title of Badiuzzaman, which means the unique of the time. So that was a title deferred to him by the scholars of his time. Inshallah, once also we will talk about him his own self. So just before starting today's, this series, maybe I can just point out one thing from his life. 3 points, I should say, from him, so that we can, when we are listening to something, it also matters who is telling about this, right? From whom it comes. So I think it also matters, right? Who is Badiuzzaman Said Nursi? Maybe most of you know about him, but just to give a little bit of understanding, Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi, we can consider him from several perspectives. If for example, 3 points of view. Number one, the time that he lived in. So in which time he lived, and in which country, territory he lived. Okay, so the time he lived, the place he lived, and then his personal credentials. So when we have an understanding of these 3, we will appreciate, or we will understand, all right, the value and the importance of what this great scholar is sharing with us. So first of all, he lived in the territories of Ottoman state. So of course we know Ottoman state was once the Khilafah, the center of Khilafah that was ruling over 3 continents, partially 3 continents of the world, millions of kilometers, square kilometer, and for more than 600 years, it became the flag bearer of Islam. Of course, as part of many other Muslim countries across the globe. And so as we, it's very much known who is Ottoman, no need to speak about it. And he was, and secondly, he lived in which time of Ottoman? He lived at the end time of Ottoman, and he witnessed the collapse of Ottoman, or the last period of Ottoman, and the collapse of Ottoman, and the birth of the new Turkish Republic. So he lived at a very critical timeline. So he was seeing the reasons, the causes of the collapse of Ottoman, and he was negotiating with leaders, with the sultans, with everyone in the lands of Ottoman. And then he was diagnosing the problems, right? As a scholar, he was diagnosing the problems of the collapse and the regress of the country. And then he witnessed its collapse, and he witnessed the birth of the new Turkish Republic. So his witnessing all of these things and living throughout a life of 83 years is very, important that, he saw what is going on, and it was reflected in his publications. And then, of course, he wrote the Risalah An Nur, the Book of Light, which is around 6,000-7,000 pages. Which is a tafsir of Quran, which is a kalam, and which served, inshallah, we'll discuss in detail, which served for the protection of Iman and Islam in the lands of Turkey in those times. And thirdly, his personal credentials. He is not only an Islamic scholar, but also a scholar of modern sciences. So he has 2 wings. One, he is mastered. By the age of 14, he had already mastered all Islamic sciences, all Islamic studies, and he was deferred the Ijaza, Ilmiya, having completed all the books. And even he memorized 90 volumes of Islamic source books, and including some other technical books as well. And then he became a Hafiz al-Quran in 15 days only. So he has such kind of, mashallah, very brilliant and God-gifted talents. Okay, so he not only perfected and mastered Islamic studies, but also mastered, even wrote books on modern sciences. So as we read the Quran is not just a book for akhirah, it's also a book for dunya. It's also a book of science, it's also a book of social and natural sciences. So the Risalah An Nur, being a tafsir of the Quran, has this integrated methodology of, viewing and evaluating, analyzing the things and topics in an integrated manner. So when he talks about Islam, it doesn't just, relate to ayat and hadith and fiqh and other Islamic studies, but it is very, very much integrated of the, a number of physical and natural sciences. So it's like Risalah An Nur book reads and makes a tafsir of not only Quran, but also the book of universe. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has 3 books. One is Al-Quran, and one is Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and one is the universe. Quran is the Kitabun Matlu, the read Quran, the read book. And Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is the Kitabun Natiq, the speaking book. And the universe is the Kitabun Manzur, the observed book. So Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi's tafsir is actually a tafsir of the 3, right? Combining not just Quran and Hadith, but also of the tafsir of the universe. So in that regard, it's a very integrated and combined tafsir. That's why it very much addresses the issues and matters of our world. So it shows us the way out of the crisis of civilization, of the regress and of the problems, current problems of Muslims. That's why, inshallah, giving heed and ear to what he says is very much valuable, inshallah. So after having this, relatively long introduction, we can now, inshallah, start our discussion. So just leaving this long discussion about his life into another session, inshallah. Okay, so today we start with interpretation of Bismillah from human and cosmological perspective. May I just ask, how many minutes do we have, Brother Abdul Latif, before we proceed? Do I have to complete my talk?
30 minutes altogether.
30 minutes altogether means I've spent maybe some 5-10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Okay, inshallah. Okay. Okay. So as we know, Bismillah is the first ayah of the Quran, and it is Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is such a verse, is such an ayah that it was revealed 114 times. So we will not very much talk about Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim completely. That's another discussion. There is longer, interpretation in the Risalah An Nur about Rahman and Rahim parts only together with it. But today we will focus mainly on Bismillah. So Bismillah is 5 things. Start of all good things, which we know, when we start something good, we say Bismillah. And we're not allowed to say Bismillah when we're starting anything prohibited. Okay, and also when we start with Bismillah, Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam says, كل شيء ذي بال لا يبدأ ببسم الله فهو أبتر. Everything that is important is not started with Bismillah is incomplete. So we have to start anything good, right, saying Bismillah. It is the mark of Islam. It is a shi'ar of Islam. So it reminds, it symbolizes Islam. And thirdly, Bismillah is constantly recited by all beings through their tongues of disposition. All right. We will further elaborate these 2, 3. Okay, constantly recited by all beings through their tongues of disposition is an inexhaustible strength, is the source of an inexhaustible strength, and is the source of an unending, bounty, unending source of bounty. Okay, so Bismillah is 5 things, all right, as it is presented in this chapter by Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi, and today we're going to focus on the last 3, inshallah. So basically, when we talk about Bismillah, we say that it is sunnah to start with Bismillah. It is rewardful to start with Bismillah. It's an ibadah to utter Bismillah, right? So this is from ibadah perspective, right? From practicing perspective, this is what we know and what we practice. It has many effects, right, on what we are doing. And now today, inshallah, we will see from the point of view of Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi a little bit different, additionally different, perspective on Bismillah. Okay. So Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi uses a lot of analogies in his books, to make things easier to be understood, better and easily to be understood. Sometimes those facts are very difficult, scholarly issues. To make it understood by everyone, he gives simple analogies and very much in line with the reality. And then he goes back to the reality and focuses on it, inshallah. So today we start with the analogy. Someone who makes a journey through the deserts of Arabian lands. Okay. So now let's think about, okay, there is a desert, okay, in front of us. And there are 2 people, okay, 2 travelers who has to travel through this desert, okay. One of them is modest and humble. The other one is proud and conceited. And in the desert, there are what? Enemies such as bandits, right? Who can just come across you and then you can say, who are you? What are you doing? They can kill you. They can take your things, right? There are enemies, maybe animals, etc., right? And then there are needs. So we have a lot of need, right? Food, shelter, etc. Okay. Sorry, may I just hold you a second, please? Oh. Okay, excuse me. Okay, all right. Okay, so in the desert, there are enemies, and every form of enemies, different form, and a different form of needs. Okay, so the first man is a humble one, and in the desert there are tribe leaders who are ruling over the desert, right? Who have some kind of ruling over the desert. So 2 men is setting out on a journey, and they are, suggested to take the protection of a tribe leader. As they are traveling, they are suggested to take the protection, to take the name of a tribe leader, okay, while they are traveling. And the humblest one, he says, okay, fine, I can take his protection, I can be under him, okay. The other one says, no, I'm alone, I'm enough myself, and he doesn't take his protection. The one who took his protection, who took his name, who acted and moved in his name, traveled very safely wherever he went, while the other one suffered a lot of calamities and problems, right? So the first one did not, whoever, any bandit they came across him did not molest him because he's traveling in the name of such and such tribal leader, while the other one trembled before any enemies and anything. And when the first one needed something, he went into a tent, said, Assalamu alaikum, please, I'm traveling in the name of that tribe leader. Can you please give me, I need this, I need that. And they helped him, they honored him because of the name that he was traveling in. And then the other one, because he was just alone, so he was abased and he became an object of scorn. Okay, so this is, all right, the short analogy. Now, the traveler is our nafs, ourselves. And the desert is our world, is this world. And the tribe leader, okay, the ruler of those lands is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the ruler of our land, that is world. Okay, so we are traveling on the desert of this world, and the leader of those lands, of these lands, is whom? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what we need to do, of course, and then there are enemies, okay, enemies, and then needs in this world, isn't it? We have a lot of enemies, we have a lot of needs. We have physical and psychological enemies, right? A small microbe like coronavirus, which is 1 million times smaller than 1 millimeter, is an enemy that can kill people, and it kills people, right? And then, you know, everything is, and sometimes people are enemy, sometimes sickness is an enemy, you know, sometimes anything, you know, so many things are an enemy in this world. And then needs, we have a lot of needs, right? So the enemies are unending and needs are also never ending. For example, what do we need? I want to live, for example, I want to live eternally. I don't want to die. So living eternally is a need for me, right? And then my needs never end. I always want something and need something else. For example, how can I live eternally? Can I live eternally? No. Then I need someone to give me an eternal life. So my enemies are endless, my needs are endless. But I am absolutely weak because I cannot even save myself, protect myself against a very small virus, right? So I'm absolutely weak. And on the other side, I'm absolutely poor because I don't have whatever I need. I don't have whatever I need, right? So now we understand ourselves. We have two characteristics. One is ajz, one is faqr. Ajz means powerlessness, weakness, and faqr, poverty. So we are ajiz, we are powerless, and we are poor. So we have so many enemies, but we are weak to save ourselves, protect ourselves. We have so much needs, but we don't have anything to fulfill our needs. Then our limitless powerlessness and poverty. Do we have limitless powerlessness and poverty? Do we understand that? Okay. It binds us to Allah, who has endless power and mercy. Right? Who has endless power and mercy. This way, our powerlessness and poverty becomes a truly intercessor for us before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, you say, Ya Rab, okay, I'm weak, I'm poor, and you are Al-Qadir, Al-Rahim, right? So our characteristics is poor and power, weak and poor. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Qadir, Al-Rahim, Al-Ghani, Al-Jawad, Al-Kareem. So we knock on the door of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing who we are, isn't it? It's very important to know who you are when you get into a communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we, for example, right now it is dark, right, in Malaysia, in Bangladesh. Can you see the moon? I think you can see the moon. Maybe if it is late at night, you can see the moon best, isn't it? So the darkest the air is, the brightest the moon will be seen, right? So in the same sense, if we know ourselves as powerless, endlessly poor, the power and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shine upon us like a shining moon, like a shining sun, right? And then we will attract it, inshallah, we will attract it. Okay, so in this way, we are traveling and there are so many enemies and needs in this world, and there's a ruler of this world, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we travel in His name, we will be protected against our enemies, and we will be our needs will be fulfilled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so that's one analogy. And secondly, now, the person who acts saying in the name of Allah resembles someone who enrolls in the army. Okay, now let's talk more about, to understand, give more analogies about Bismillah. So someone who says Bismillah, okay, like I'm doing anything, okay, and I say Bismillah. So what is the difference? If I don't say Bismillah and if I say Bismillah, what is the difference? The difference is like this. There is someone who registers into an army, who is an army personnel, and there is someone who's not an army personnel. The difference is as big as that. Because the one who enrolls in the army, for example, or in the police force, let's say he is a traffic police, so he says stop, right? And then hundreds of cars will stop, right? When he says go and pass and etc., they will continue. So he's not acting in his name. He's not acting as a civil individual. He acts in the name of the government. So when he says stop, everyone stops because he's not doing it on his name. He says, or she says, in the name of, the government. So when we act saying Bismillah, we take the qudra, we take the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before us, over us, right? So we are acting in his name. If someone comes in and tells everyone to go out, we understand. And if everyone goes out, we understand that that person doesn't act on his name. He's a personnel of the, wherever you are, like in a university, you are in a university, for example, he comes and says, everyone go out. You understand that that person relies upon the rector, the vice chancellor of the university. So likewise, someone who depends, acting in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything surrenders to him. Okay, now these are some examples from the social life. And let's give some examples and let's reflect upon Bismillah from the nature. And now from the plants. Okay, this small seed relies upon Allah. Okay, and it becomes a huge tree, and it gives these delicious and colorful and tasty and watery, okay, fruits to us. So it depends on Allah. How we understand that? It says Bismillah. How we understand that? Okay, what we said, Bismillah is constantly recited by all beings through their tongues of disposition. Through their tongues of disposition. So they don't say like me, Bismillah, but they act Bismillah. They act in the name of Allah. They act in the name of Allah more than I act. I'm a conscious being. I forget acting in the name of Allah. I act in my name many times. But they never forget Allah. Right? وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. There is nothing that does not glorify Allah with praise. Everything glorifies Allah. Everything is conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I am not sometimes and many times. So whatever they do it saying Bismillah, because we see it in their actions. We see it in their actions. So for example, how we understand that they rely on Allah? This seed, can it do, for example, just like one person staying in the traffic and stopping everyone at the same time, we understand that this person doesn't act in his name, acting in the name of the government. So likewise, look at this small, tiny, lifeless, unconscious, blind, and deaf being, right? Which is made of 4 main materials that every other seed is made of the same material. And then we see that every different seeds, they're all same seeds actually, the material is same, but they give, they produce different, things. How they know what they're gonna do? Okay, how they know, to make this tree? Like, are they graduate of a university, of a degree, master degree, PhD degree? No, they don't know how to make it. How they know that there are human beings out there and they should make these beautiful and delicious fruits, and these are suitable for the human beings out there? Again, they don't know us, right? So this is beyond their capacity. This is the tree, the fruits that are beyond the capacity of a seed, right? So we understand that the seed depends on a greater power. It depends on Allah. It says with its actions, it says Bismillah. The gardens, soil, they say Bismillah and they produce delectable foods, right? And they all produce them for human beings. Again, they depend on Allah because they do something beyond their capacity. So here we understand that if we truly rely on Allah, we will do things that is beyond our capacity. And the simplest way of relying on Allah is to say Bismillah in any action. But we can enlarge this. when we expand the meaning of Bismillah, any dua, right? Whatever we need, we should ask from Allah. We should rely truly on Allah. We should not rely on our potentials and capacities. ما أصابك من حسنة فمن الله وما أصابك من سيئة فمن نفسك. Whatever good comes to you, it comes from Allah. But we think I will do it. We think I do it with my own ability, with my own thinking, with my own knowledge, etc. No, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever goodness comes to us, it comes from Him. So then, if we have an ability, that ability is to know that I have nothing. If we have a knowledge, that is to know that I know nothing, which is to rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala solely, that every goodness comes from Him. Without Him, nothing will take place. Inshallah, one day we'll focus more, inshallah. We will interpret this ayah, inshallah, in a detailed manner in the weeks to come, inshallah. A cow, again, okay, it gives us a milk. And that milk, it eats a green grass, and it gives us a pure milk. How does it know, right? And this milk, by the way, is going through very filthy areas, in the body of the animal, and it comes in a very white, form, and it is very much, right, beneficial for all of us. So again, is it a graduate of a university, etc.? Right? Does it know how to produce? Does it know human beings who's out there waiting for this, etc.? No. So it just depends on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't do anything, you see. Actually, we are like these things. We don't do anything. They all come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once we literally, truly understand this, we will solve a lot of things, actually. The problem is we are relying on ourselves, and we think we are doing. That is why we forget to say even Bismillah. Because when I do anything, I make my preparations, I take my precautions, I learn about it, etc., then I start doing it, right? But, unfortunately, we forget many times to rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly. Again, the slender, plain, and silk-like roots and rootlets of every single plant, tree, and herb say Bismillah. Okay, you see, the dry soil, or even sometimes rock, right? You see that these, silk-like rootlets of plants, they go down and they pierce through hard rock and earth. They pierce through hard rock and earth. How do they do that? Isn't it there beyond their capacity? It is. So then they rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? They rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The science says, they release a certain type of acid. This is how they are doing it. And then they say, okay, you see, we explain how everything is. There is no need for a God. Okay, sorry. How does it know what kind of acid it should release? How does it know to produce an acid? How this acid or its materials came into its body, right? So these are impossible. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, makes it, right? Do it in such a way that, so it is very much clear that, here, the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is here. So it doesn't rely on itself. Even, for example, like the branches of trees, they stretch in the air very freely, isn't it? The leaves and the branches. It is as free as they are living in the open air, they are also living so much freely in the dark and hard rock and earth, right? So because they rely solely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah makes down in the earth as free as up in the air, because in front of Allah's power, everything is same. There is no easier and more difficult for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything is same for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the thing is, do we rely enough on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So this tree, these plants, they fully rely upon Allah, and Allah makes the beneath the earth, as open, as easy as up, upper part of the soil, to move and stretch in. Even these leaves, for example, they stay moist, right, in the face of the blight of the sun for months, right? They preserve their moist in it. So it depends on Allah. Normally, when I go out, I became dry, I became, I change, right? In a few hours under the light of the sun. But these leaves, subhanallah, it is like, Ya nar kuni bardan wa salam, right? Like the commandment of Allah, the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the fire to be safe, right? And cool for Ibrahim alayhi salam. And here is like, اضرب بعصاك الحجر, like Musa alayhi salam's asa stuff, when Allah wants, those rootlets, they pierce through, the hard-broken earth. Okay. A further elaboration now on Bismillah. Let me check your comments sometimes. MashaAllah, thank you so much. Okay. Now, let's again have a social, analysis, an example. Now, we pay a price to those who display and sell the goods, right? They're selling different types of fruits, clothes, everything, right? So we are paying them a price to buy what they're selling. So then, what price does Allah ask? Who is the true owner of all goods? So we are paying a price to the sellers of things, but are they the true owner? No, but we pay them and we take it. So then, what is the true owner of those things ask in return for them? Okay, what is this? This is a durian of Malaysia. So let's say this durian, it has implantation and watering and harvesting costs, right? For which we pay, let's say, 7 ringgit with Malaysian, currency. And then this guy is taking it from the fields, going there, and then transporting it and storing, packaging, and presenting it to us. For which he's again paying from his pocket, another 7 ringgit for one durian. And then he sells it to us, let's say 20, ringgit. Okay. So now we pay 20 ringgit and we buy and we eat. So did we pay the price of the durian? Yeah, apparently we paid. No, of course, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does He want? In return for these precious benefactions and goods, the true benefactor of Razaq al-Haqiqi, the real sustainer, asks 3 things of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants 3 things from us. The price that Allah asks from us is what? 3 things for every kind of food, every kind of, ni'mah. 1, dhikr. 2, fikr. And 3, shukr. So dhikr, fikr, shukr. Okay, what is dhikr? To say Bismillah in the beginning. And what is fikr? Or what is shukr? To say at the end, Alhamdulillah. This is what we know and practice. To say Bismillah, to say Alhamdulillah. And fikr, a 3rd price that Allah asks from us, which is in the middle, to think that the bounties come from the treasury of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? To think. So, in the beginning, what we do? Before we start to eat anything, first we acknowledge this has come to me from Allah. So I eat it in the name of Allah, who sent it to me. I acknowledge, I accept that Allah is the true sustainer. And it came from Him only, not through any means, not from people. It came solely from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah does not need any means and causes to bring it to me. And no one else is Razzaq, no one else is Kareem, no one else is, Jawad, etc., generous, etc. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It came from Him alone. So we remember Him, right? We remember Him, we say, Bismillah. Ya Rab, I eat this in your name. At the end, we say Alhamdulillah. But in the, after remembering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this to me, now while eating, we think more, okay? So at first we just remember that this is from Allah and I'm eating it in your name, Ya Rab. And now let us think more about what we are eating. What kind of a miracle it is right? A work of miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala it is. We should think about it. Like it is like packaged very nicely. It has very nice color. It has very nice shape. It is very nice smelling. And then it came from where? It came from the treasury of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is like, every season we have different fruits, right? It is like the world, okay, this is the world, traveling, right? Around the sun, isn't it? So as it is traveling, it is passing by like the stations of seasons, summer season, and then another season, isn't it? So it is like as they are traveling from the treasury of mercy, where? In the unseen, from the ghaib. It is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala filling in our wagon, the wagon of world, with fruits, and it is going and passing by, and then another station, Allah filling it with other types of fruits, right? So that the human beings, animals, they are eating and benefiting from these things. So, we should think about these things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is creating them, very much suitably for our needs. And at the end, after thinking about these things, so we will make and eating and tasting, so now we will say very wholeheartedly, we will say Alhamdulillah. Okay, finally, okay, suppose that this Sultan, who is the Sultan Muhammad Fatih, okay, you know who he is? He's the conqueror of Istanbul, right? So suppose that he has sent, all right, to you a gift through a postman, okay? He has sent to you a gift through a postman. And on the gift, your name is written, etc. So this gift came to you. And then when you saw that gift, wow, very nice gift, thank you so much. And you thank the postman, you even tip the postman, and then you forget the Sultan. You forget remembering and thanking the Sultan. So this is a foolishness, right? This is a very, 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 very big foolishness. And now, this guy who is selling us these durians, these fruits, we pay him, we tip him, we thank him, and if we forget remembering, thinking, and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we forget doing these things, paying the three prices of eating anything, so this is 1,000 times more foolishness than in the first case. So indeed we have to, right, so there are three prices, right, of anything that we are eating. The first one is to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we should give in the name of Allah, because that tree is giving you in the name of Allah, right? It is producing it and it is stretching its hands to you. It is as if, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you through the hand of that tree. And the tree gives you saying Bismillah, because it always depended on Allah while doing it. And the tree is conscious of Allah, praises Allah, thanks Allah, glorifies Allah, right? So it gives you saying Allah. So we should take from the tree saying Allah. We should also give when we give to others saying in the name of Allah. So we should give in the name of Allah, we should take in the name of Allah, we should begin in the name of Allah, and we should act in the name of Allah. Wassalam. Okay, I've just seen brother's message about last 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Yusuf Kara. Indeed, that was very enlightening. And yes, this is probably the right time when we all realize how helpless and how powerless we are, not just us, the strongest nation and the so-called powerful individuals. Just a simple coronavirus have made us realize that we are really helpless. And indeed, your discussion was very enlightening and did tell us how helpless we are and how we need to always fall back to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you again, and that was really great, and I hope everybody else have learned as much as I have. Let me introduce our discussant on this. Our first discussant is Dr. Muhammad Obaidullah, and Dr. Muhammad Obaidullah serves as the head of Department of Islamic Studies at Manarat International University, and he also acts as additional director of Institutional Quality Assurance Cell which is a project of University Grant Commission, Bangladesh. Dr. Obaidullah has received his Doctor of Philosophy in Comparative Religion and Usuluddin from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. I think the same department where Mr. Yusuf Kara has received his master's. Dr. Obaidullah has published extensively on Aqidah, socio-religious studies, philosophy, particularly Muslim philosophy. And it would be a pleasure to listen to Dr. Muhammad Obaidullah. Dr. Obaidullah, please unmute yourself and proceed.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa salatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I'm really honored to be the part of weekly series of Bangladeshi communities on a journey of hearts and minds with Badiuzzaman Said Nursi and his Risalah An Nur. Dear moderator, my favorite brother Abdul Latif from IIUM, the main speaker, brother Yusuf Kara, representative of Hayat Foundation to Malaysia, and also the graduates from my same department. I really happy to see you. And another discussion, Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Hassan, he's joining us from United Kingdom. So thank you very much for inviting me to this program and allowing me, giving me the opportunity to speak on Ustaz Badiuzzaman Said Nursi. It always gives me extraordinary feelings and emotion to talk about the life of Ustaz Badiuzzaman Said Nursi and his great work, especially the Risalah An Nur. As I have been working on this Ustaz and his works for more than 10 years, and I have presented some papers on international conference organized by some Turkish organizations. So I really find each and every time that some new things, the new ideas, and I really enlighten myself as enlighten others. So I really I would like to thank Brother Yusuf Kara for his really great presentation on the Bismillah. As we know, the significance of Bismillah in Islam is very much well known and described in many commentaries and tafsirs. But whenever we study the explanation of Sayyid Nursi, Ustaz Sayyid Nursi, as he is considered as Muzaddid, we can find something new because he always combines three things, as we have already known, that the spiritual things and then physical world, and as well as the integration of spiritual explanation with the scientific explanation, which is very much practical. So it really gives us very interesting idea as we have some other feelings whenever we say, after this discussion and studying on his commentary, whenever we say later on in the next time from today, Bismillah with, starting at the beginning of starting any works, we will have some emotion and we'll have some imagination. Then of course, after saying this Bismillah, we may have some extra bounties, extra niyama, extra baraka from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on us. So whenever we are referring to the thoughts of Sayyid Nursi, he always tries to promote the peace, firstly inside our heart, inside our qalb, and then in our mind, and that will reflect on our practical life. So he speaks, describes many times in his Risalah An Nur the concept of peace, the concept of rahma or baraka, and in the practical way. So I just would like to bring one example from his Risalah An Nur. Whenever we really want to show ourselves as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever we remember, because sometimes we forget to say Bismillah. Because of what? Because of something wrong in our heart, in our mind. So he always tries to say that why we forget to say Bismillah or something else, and we forget to remember ourselves that we are the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whatever we are doing, we can do only, but the barakah, the result comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first barrier to remembering these things in our works is the ego and self-sufficientness, as it has been described in the speaker's discussion, that the proud and then conciliated conceited man. The examples was given there. So the ego and self-sufficientness should be avoided. To remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remember yourself as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whenever you can avoid these things, then you can really remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can say Bismillah with at the beginning of any saying, any words. So Ustaz said, if you really rely on your ego and own power and abandoning reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and supplication, divide into pride and boasting, then you will fall lower than an ant or bee in regard to goodness and creation, and become weaker than a spider or a fly. You will become heavier than a mountain in regard to evil and distraction, and more harmful than a pestilence virus. So this should be avoided to really remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as He is the creator, He is only the giver, He is the giver of, He is the sustainer, and He can only give us the result of any works. So this is, thank you very much again, the organizer, and especially to invite me to talk on the Said Nursi's, Badiuzzaman Said Nursi's thought and his works. So may Allah bless us, and hopefully we will be delighting, also the enlightening in future Shri's discussion, inshallah. Thank you very much. But at the last, I just would like to recommend the proposal to propose that the life and works of Ustaz Said Nursi has been discussing through the last few years in Bangladesh, especially as I am living in Bangladesh. I know the situation, but this is not sufficient. So I just would like to request the organizer to arrange such kind of programs to really articulate Ustaz Sayyid Badiuzzaman Nursi and his great works to the mass people, because it must be studied, it must be shown in an academic way, and also in the mass people, among the mass people, that they can realize the contribution of Sayyid Badiuzzaman Nursi and his Risalah An Nur to promote the peace in the society, as I am working on the peace and society. So I really make to relate his works to the peace and society, and which is really needed in the present world. Thank you very much. Thank you again. Wa ma tawfiq illa billah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Ubaidullah. Indeed, the ego and feeling that I'm too powerful is probably the root of a lot of problems that has been happening in this world. And if we really, truly accept that we are helpless, we are powerless, and all powers are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then a lot of problems that exist in the world would be very easily solved. And that is reflected in both the speaker and our discussant, Mr. Ubaidullah, Dr. Ubaidullah. We have a second discussant who is joining us from the United Kingdom, that is Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Hassan. He's an educationist and a researcher based in the United Kingdom, as I said. He has graduated from the University of Dhaka with first class we call it first class first, right? That means he got a first class and he was the first in the batch. And he obtained a master's from the same university, and then he went to United Kingdom, University College London, to do his PhD under Commonwealth Scholarship. He also taught there for a year. Currently, he is the director of Muslim Education Trust, an UK-based think tank, and he has joined us for this session as a discussant. May I invite Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Hassan, please unmute yourself and proceed. I can't see all the participants on my screen. It's a small laptop. Dr. Kamrul Hassan, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, clear. Please go ahead.
Thank you for inviting me to say a few words, and thank you, Dr. Yusuf Kara. Sorry, Yusuf Kara. I know him very well. I met him in Turkey a couple of times, and like all the participants, Bengali, most of them from all over the world, and I feel proud to become one of the discussion here. My previous discussion, Dr. Ubaidullah was saying very sort of nice interpretation of some of Said Nursi's Risalah. I think the first thing I ask this audience, it's a very good initiative to understand and to learn and to study Risalah An Nur and Said Badiuzzaman Nursi. Before doing that, which Brother Kara started, actually you need to know who is Ustad Said Badiuzzaman Nursi and what is his Risalah. Why it is important? Because Said Nursi was an outstanding scholar, and Risalah An Nur is another outstanding book. In English sort of, if you ask in Wikipedia, for example, what is Risalah An Nur? It simply said it is a thematic tafsir of the Quran written by Badiuzzaman Said Nursi. They consider it is a tafsir, and we consider it as well. But it's a different kind of tafsir. It's not a tafsir like we know Ibn Kathir, we know many tafsirs. But it is not tafsir in that way, the particular ayat and interpretation. And you need to remind yourself, you need to understand, most of the book was written in jail. When we write something nowadays, for example, we write few words, few sentences, few thousand words. We take reference from here and there. Who wrote these? Who wrote these? He was nothing with him. That's why they call it wonders of the world. Although his teacher, Ustad teacher, in his school days called him Badiuzzaman, wonders of the world. And Risalah An Nur is really is wonders. When he started this Risalah An Nur, Brother Kara mentioned 6,000 to 7,000 pages. What was the aim of this? Why he started writing Risalah? It is clearly written. Again, if you search for Wikipedia or any other sources, it's written, the primary purpose of the Risalah An Nur is bring about a religious revival in Turkey. But you remember which Turkey? Brother Kara tried to mention, which is time he could not explain, that Turkey, the Ottoman Empire is collapsing, new republic is coming, and he saw both. So Said Nursi's time is very important. That time of the Ummah, and his outstanding scholarship, like 15 days, he memorized the whole Quran. He memorized, and he 90 volume of sources, he memorized, and from his memory, he wrote this whole book. That kind of, people call him, there is a terminology, you need to understand that, it's called scholar's scholar. I consider Ustad Nursi not only as a scholar, scholar's scholar. Because Risalah is not an easy book to read. Risalah is not a general reader will read and understand. You need really expert reading because it challenges time again and reminding you what time he wrote Risalah. When European Renaissance, when European thoughts, European theme, European thinking completely destroying, and no one is there to tackle it. how these European thoughts, European culture, European thinking, European doctrine, and this is Syed Badiuzzaman Nursi. He challenged it scientifically, challenged it philosophically, challenged it sociologically, challenged all directions. That is Risalah An Nur. And whole Risalah An Nur, I call it, is a tool to solve a problem. And scholar Nursi is not time bound. Many scholars we found is a time bound. That scholar was a scholar for that time. Yes, Brother Wazula mentioned Mujaddid, call him Mujaddid. But his scholarship, his tools, he gave you tools. He did not give you prescription. Do it, no. He gave you a framework. He gave you tools. And that tools একজন বলেছেন যে এখানে বাংলা ভাষায় কথা বললে সুবিধা হয়। Is it the case, or shall we continue in English, or shall I say some Bangla as well? Brother Abdul Latif?
We should continue in English.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, brother. I told the organizers that some of the talk will be in Bangla at some point. Not all will be in English, but remember to understand Risalah An Nur. Brother Ubaidullah, in his last point, mentioned one thing which I would like to remind you. To understand Risalah, you need expert. And that expert from all over the world. Those who are from Turkish understand the original language of Risalah, and those who are from different parts of the world, from example, in Bangla language. If you translate Risalah, people will find boring. Why? It's a different kind of book. Like when I give you, okay, this philosophy book of Bertrand Russell, give it to everybody. How will you understand? So to understand Risalah, you need Yusuf Kara, who gave you today beautiful lecture about only one word, Bismillah. Let me give you a story. And I heard it from Professor Colin Turner, world-renowned English expert of Risalah An Nur. And he became Muslim through Risalah An Nur. It is his own story. He's a professor of Durham University. He was telling this story. One day in London Trafalgar Square, he was saying some people was giving slogan like La ilaha illallah, Bismillah, that sort of word. Somebody went to him and asking him, do you know what they say? He's not Muslim at the time. So he asked the other person, what is the meaning? Then he said, the Bismillah is the name of Allah, La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. He said, okay, I know, this is the literal meaning of this, but can you interpret? He said, no, I can't interpret this. This is the literal. Well, everybody knows the literal meaning. Then he said, okay, if you want to know more, what is the meaning of Bismillah? What is the meaning of La ilaha illallah? Read some of the stories, read some of the books. Which books? He got a Risalah An Nur. And he said, in his own word, this is the first time in my life I understand what is the word Bismillah means. What is the word La ilaha illallah means, which Brother Kara was giving some flavor of Bismillah with beautiful diagrams. Professor Colin Turner said, you remember one book we read long time ago? I think this is the only book I got about La ilaha illallah, kalima tayyibah, meaning. So it's that kind of interpretation, that depth interpretation of Risalah, all these words, whether it is Bismillah, whether it is La ilaha illallah, whether any of his topic in so depth in this Risalah An Nur, You will be amazed, simply amazed. But again, it's not the only literal translation of Risalah An Nur with its collection, with its main volumes, which is translated into English. No, that kind of thing will attract. You need to translate it. You need to reinterpret. You need to find the meaning. And that kind of expert we need in Bangladesh. Those who can understand this Risalah An Nur and bring
Dr.
these
Kamral, if you
tools
could end quickly.
I'll give you one more example from Risalah. Sorry, I will finish in 1 minute. I'll give you one example from Risalah. It is Said Ustad Badiuzzaman Nursi wrote in his book several times. One of the outstanding Indian scholars, Mujaddid al-Fisani, you know Hazrat Sheikh Ahmed Sirhind, he was inspired by his teaching, by his strategy, by his understanding. And he gave a great tribute to this scholar. And he said, they never imagined that kind of a scholar from Indian subcontinent can teach me. And I got, when you read Said Nursi, you will find two phases of his life. All the biographer mentioned on his old Nursi, on his new Said or new Nursi. And in his new Nursi, new thinking, he said, two people inspired me in my life. One is, apart from, of course, Quran and Sunnah, you know, but the modern writing, modern tools, modern things he got from Hazrat Sheikh Ahmed Sirhind and Abdul Qadir Jilani Rahmatullah alayhi. Why he mentioned that? Read Risalah, you will find in pages after pages, he mentioned how he was inspired, how he even borrowed the idea from them and translated it into the modern time where Turkey, you can see the revival happened. That's why when Risalah An Nur, he finished the Risalah An Nur and he said, today is the day of celebration for me, because I asked Allah to finish this book, and which I have done. And you see what happened to Turkey. Same thing can happen if you understand Risalah An Nur, and those who understand the Risalah An Nur can interpret, can translate the teachings, belief, and some of the tools, some of the strategy for us. Then the young people in Bangladesh and many parts of the world will be benefited from this Ustad Said Badiuzzaman Nursi and from his Risalah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience hearing. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Hassan. We're really sorry we're running very, very late and beyond time. And I understand it's not easy to finish such a great discussion with such a short time. But still, I think the program will be incomplete if we do not allow some question and answers from the participants. So if I may have a quick show of hands, perhaps we will allow only 2 questions. And hopefully for future sessions, we'll have more participation from our members who join. And hopefully we'll have less of introductory discussions, and hopefully everybody can participate. All right, so we will just have 2 simple questions, 2 minutes each. So that's about 5 minutes. We can finish the program. So if I can see if anybody wants to raise any question, please stay relevant to the topic. And yep, I can see Mr. Badiuzzaman has raised his hand, and I don't see anybody else yet. Okay, so Mr. Badiuzzaman, please, can we give you just 2 minutes? Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'm really very delighted to attend this webinar. Really, it is a very significant seminar on Risalah An Nur. And I thank Brother Yusuf Kara. He has presented his thought and topic very nicely, very elaborately, with analogy and examples. But this is not a time to talk on this topic. But I'd like to congratulate the brother Yusuf Kara, at the same time the organizers. I had an opportunity to attend the international seminar on on within Badiuzzaman Nursi's education, life, and many other topics 3 times in Ankara and Bursa and Istanbul. However, I'm really happy as the organizers. May Allah give them barakah, bounty, blessings, etc. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Badiuzzaman. Thank you so much for joining us. And we may allow one more person if there is anybody else who is interested or say anything. It seems no one else. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a great pleasure to have you with us this evening. And please do note that this program will continue on every Friday. And there are lots of interesting discussions from the book that are scheduled for us. And we'll update you from time to time what will be the next session about. And I have a simple request. I'm not sure if the book is translated in Bengali. If it is not, perhaps we can look into and see if it can be translated. If it is already, then we can make use of it and see if we can read while attending this program for about next few months. We can also read the book on our own to have a greater insight. But of course, I thank Mr. Yusuf Kara to make it really simple for us to follow and understand. That's great. And I'm sure reading the book will not be anywhere close to that easy for us. Thank you so much. And it's great to have you all. And we send you an advance invitation on next Friday, inshallah. We'll upload in the group all the sessions that are planned, so you could have a look. And may Allah bless our effort. Brother Yusuf Kara, you have something to say?
Yes, I just would like to, Brother Abdulatif, I just would like to thank our beloved discussants, Dr. Muhammad Ubaidullah and Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Hassan. Jazakumullahu khairan. I'm very much delighted with your presence and with your valuable contributions, mashallah. And this is the, mashallah, beauty of having this kind of a program, to have our beloved experts, to have their opinions. As a Turkish person, to speak, you know, from Risalah An Nur, from Turkey, may sometimes sound like, okay, he's from Turkey, so of course he values Risalah An Nur as someone from Turkey. So hearing from Bangladeshi people is also very much valuable. You know, al-ulama warathatul anbiya. So the prophets, they don't belong to, the ulama, they don't belong to any nation. They are the values of all countries, all nations. And the doctors, ulama. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, the value of the whole ummah.
Ummah, what I said. Absolutely, absolutely. They are the value of the entire ummah. So I'm also giving, and also Mr. Badiuzzaman, I would like to thank you for your kind words. Alhamdulillah, I'm very to be again with you on the same platform, mashallah. So basically, I'm always, and first of all, and once again, I would like to thank for the discussants, you know, contributions in terms of the value that they are giving and how they appreciate the Risalah An Nur. Many more things could be said, inshallah. That's a good start. Today we have started to, alhamdulillah, have the first class. Maybe many here first time heard about Risalah An Nur. Maybe first time they listened to any discussion on Risalah An Nur. And Risalah An Nur, of course, has discussions on various levels. Sometimes it's very scholarly, and you need to really thoroughly read, and word by word you should focus. And the more you read, the more meanings you will get. And also it has very simple parts, which is easily understandable by everyone. So it has various levels, but inshallah, there is one thing that Imam Badiuzzaman says: if you give yourself to Risalah An Nur, it will also open to itself, you know. This is the same, isn't it, for everybody? So I just, what I was going to say, I forget something that I was going to say. I mean, yeah, I was saying that just finally, Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi likens the Quran to a pharmacy. The great pharmacy, he says. And from that word, I am coming up with a story. I say, if the Quran is a pharmacy, and then who is the sick? The sick is the ummah. The sick is the ummah throughout the history. And the Ummah has had different sicknesses, right? In the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, after him and after him and after him and after him, we have different sicknesses, different prominent sicknesses. We have many at the same time, but some of them are prominent. And then who is the doctor? If the pharmacy is the Quran and the sick is the Ummah, is the people. The doctors are the scholars, the ulama. So what they do, they read the time. They read the time. That's why we need Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi. He's a contemporary doctor. We need all the doctors. And you know, medicine is accumulative, isn't it? Medicine is an accumulative science. Everything is accumulative. Engineering is so everything. So they never reject or nullify the other. They build upon. They first they are trained during their studentship. So they are trained with the legacy, with the turath, and then they become mature and then they read their own time and they diagnose their time as a doctor. They diagnose the sicknesses of their time. And then those scholars, they refer to the pharmacy of Quran and they make files and medicines and give it to us. This is why we need mufassirun. This is why we need mujaddids. And Imam Badiuzzaman is one of the mujaddids. So, alhamdulillah, he has compiled, he has diagnosed. This is very important even, isn't it? Like in academic works, what we do, we first make a statement of the problem and then we go about it. So first you have to diagnose what what is the problem. So Imam Badiuzzaman talked about diagnose the problem. If you cannot diagnose the problem correctly, everything you do will come from Quran, but you may not diagnose the problems of the time. All right, because there are various types of medicines in the Quran. Which ones are prior? Which ones are, should be taken first and second, and in which methodology? How many times a day, right? Just like a medicine is used, you select certain medicines and you use them with a certain dose. So this is why Imam Badiuzzaman is a scholar of our age who mastered not only Islamic science studies, but also modern sciences, and who witnessed, as I said in the beginning, the very important timelines of the history. So this is why, and he knows the modern time, he diagnosed the problems of our time. So his diagnosis and his remedies, they're not only for Turkey, they're only all over the world. Like once I was in South Africa, I was on a radio program, and I was talking about the purpose of our visit and what we are doing and everything. And the person on the radio program, he asked me, why are you here? You are from Turkey, so what are you doing here in South Africa? Or what do you think, the things that you do in Turkey, are they the same here? Turkey and South Africa, are they the same country? I said, the problems are all over the world. Don't we say that the world is a universal, global village now? Isn't it? So the problem is everywhere. And the diagnosis of Imam Badiuzzaman Said Nursi, inshallah, we'll discuss further and further, are for, valid for all parts of the world. So we believe that, inshallah, this will also be beneficial for our valuable brothers and sisters, academics, and very valuable people in this group right now, for the further development of ideas and remedies of our ummah, inshallah.
Thank you so much. Jazakumullahu khairan kaseera to our speaker and all the discussants and everyone who joined tonight. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll meet on next Friday. Till then, ma'asalama, and may Allah protect us from the ongoing pandemic or any other difficulties that we are faced with. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.